Hello, hello, and welcome to this channel, Highly Sensitive Wisdom. My name is Susanna, and today's topic is a really important one because we live in a world of illusions. There are many lies circling all around, there are many partial truths circling, and a lot of propaganda, a lot of brainwashing, a lot of stuff. Yeah, this is nothing new. But if you have, watched a few videos on this channel, Highly Sensitive Wisdom, you know that this channel is all about seeking the truth, telling the truth, and telling the truth with courage and straightforwardness. And yeah, we don't sugarcoat things here. We say things as they are. And this will also be the case in today's video. So today's video is about the 3 biggest lies you have ever been told and some of the repercussions of believing in those lies. So if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to this channel, give the video a like and subscribe, and also share your aha moments in the comment section so that we can inspire and uplift each other. I love it when you share aha moments or what resonated with you or what landed with you or any reactions you might have to this content so that this channel can be a living community. And thank you in advance for your participation. Right. So first lie. So yeah, I said the 3 biggest lies. The first lie is the only thing that exists is what you can see or perceive with your physical senses. So what you can see, hear, smell, touch, taste. Those are the only things that exist. And that is a very, very, very limited view of the world, the very limited worldview. And that has very serious repercussions of believing in that lie because, for one, that is one of the mechanisms that keep us stuck or trapped in the matrix. I have recorded videos previously about the matrix, and yeah, there's actually a whole playlist now you can watch if you want on how to decode the matrix. I will drop that in the description below if you want to dive deeper in analysis that I have done previously on the topic. But yeah, we have to know that if we believe in that lie, that what you can perceive through your senses, your physical senses, that is the only thing that exists. That means that you will be able to fall prey more easily for spiritual warfare. So there are many things going on in the spiritual realm that we cannot see with our senses, but we can still um, perceive the effects or feel the consequences or the effects of that. And yeah, the spiritual realm or the spiritual realms, they are just as real as this physical material world that we live in on planet Earth. It's just that we have been so indoctrinated and so conditioned to only believe in what we can immediately perceive. We have been conditioned, and this is worldwide, we have been conditioned to only believe in what we can see or hear or touch or taste or smell. The information that we have access to immediately without having to inform ourselves too much or think too much for ourselves, or like we're just being fed a lot of inputs, sensorial inputs, or a lot of data. Um, in all kinds, shapes and forms, broadcast by mass media, also, social media now. So many, avenues of input or information or data. But yeah, that is just a tiny, tiny part of what is real, what exists. So when we believe in that lie, yeah, we will be deceived very easily. And I also recorded another video called The Deception of Perception. I will drop the link to that video in the description below. That has a more personal approach, experiences I had firsthand living in France. I lived there for 7 years, and that was truly, that was a very hard life school. I had many life lessons there, and clearly I needed to see a lot of things. I needed to understand a lot of things. I needed to go through a lot of inner, transformation also. I call those years, or I call those experiences in France, the pressure cooker for my consciousness. Yeah, I have shared about that a lot in previous videos. I will not go to great extent in this video, but yeah, I can tell you, in short, the French are masters of manipulation. They are very skilled at making believe things that are not true. And I learned while living that I am a highly sensitive person. I didn't know that prior, but I learned that, and that means that in maybe you are too, dear watcher, because this is a video. I mean, this is a channel about high sensitivity, highly sensitive wisdom. But yeah, we perceive a lot of things. Subtle things, subtle information, a lot of things through our intuition, and also some of us receive downloads information from the universe, or we can sense things. We can feel the emotions of other people, and we are usually sensitive to energies, and yeah, that is a good thing because there are many things that can appear to be what they are not. So many people, and the French are experts at this, they can use words to make things sound good, create a nice narrative, a nice discourse, and make things sound what they are not, just to make things sound good or look good, or have an agenda and a narrative. But that is not necessarily true. But yeah, when we are open to the idea that there is a lot more to reality than what we can immediately perceive with our senses, physical senses, then we can also find the truth more easily. Because yeah, words are cheap. Words are just words. Words can be used to create whatever discourse, whatever narrative, whatever, you know and so many people, most people lie. So words are not, they don't carry a lot of weight, right? And also, yeah, it's fairly easy to deceive people and see the masses also with all kinds of images, you know, images of, yeah, marketing, propaganda, material in mainstream news outlets. Which mass media news outlets, they use both words to have, convey messages, for messaging, for creating a narrative, and they use imagery, images that to show, certain pieces of reality, but always with a very negative content, a very negative fear-based kind of narrative that doesn't really change so much from, it's always the same kind of narrative, fear-based, that creates anxiety in watchers and in the viewers, and that creates, yeah, that keep us stuck on lower frequencies in our thinking and in our being. And I also recorded another video about that called um, how to deal with your emotions in a low vibrating world. I will also drop the link to that video in the description below if you want to learn more, about those aspects about frequencies. And yeah, I've already recorded another video also about frequencies, speaking more specifically about energies. That video is called Everything is Energy, Frequencies Explained. Frequencies Explained. And I will drop the link to that video also in the description below if you want that. So when we open ourselves up to this truth, that there is a much, there's much broader, much wider, much deeper reality than what we can immediately perceive with our physical senses, then we can also find the truth more easily and stop falling into so many traps and stop being so manipulated and deceived and yeah, turning in circles. That was one of the first things that I discovered when I moved to France. And one of the things that frustrated me the most through those years, that's what I discovered. Yeah, that was really the first year I discovered this, that the French, they speak in circles. So they speak like, it feels like they never get to the point of things. Like I am Swedish. I mean, I grew up in Sweden. We are very productive, effective, efficient people. We like to go straight to the point, and we like to, yeah, we are often perceived like quite reserved, quite, like we maintain a certain distance, But that is, yeah, that is also part of culture, but that also makes us very effective and efficient and productive, because we don't turn around in circle. We go straight to the point to getting results. But in France, they speak in circles. So when you listen to someone speaking like that, initially I was like, yeah, but what is this person is trying to tell me anyway? Because they are just, saying the same things I mean, say repeating the same thing over and over again, but with different words, making it sound good. But there was really no substance. Those were just words, turning in circles. And I was like, yeah, get to the point. And yeah, those I didn't realize right away, the consequences or the deeper meaning of that, of just turning in circles with the words when they are speaking. But they also do that, they keep you, it seems like you're making progress, it seems like you're moving forward, but in reality you're just turning in circles. And so much frustration in Paris, in French, workplaces. So much frustration. Truly like a pressure cooker of suppressed emotions that people are not allowed to express, especially frustration. And this was visible even, with, lots of problems with technology and bugs and stuff in the IT system, coming from all those repressed and suppressed emotions that were not allowed to be expressed, but that energy cannot disappear. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, it can only be transformed. So that energy has to go somewhere. And yeah, that energy went straight to the IT systems, creating lots of problems there, where I worked. Could be different in different places. But yeah, clearly energies are very um, important, because yeah, they tell the truth, they show you the truth, and you can also feel energies in your body if you're, you know, attuned with your body, and that can also be a huge eye opener and a tool also on your journey as a truth seeker. And I've always, not always, I mean, also mentioned this in previous videos, that our physical body is a living lie detector. So even though our mind can be deceived, our physical senses can be deceived. We can be charmed by an appealing discourse, a narrative, or we can fall for nice words, or things that sound good, even though they're not necessarily true. But our body will always tell us the truth, and yeah, so we need to have that in mind. All right, that this is a very big lie, that we have been told that there's nothing more than what we have been. I mean, we have been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe there's nothing more than what we can immediately perceive with our physical senses. But that is a big, big, big lie. All right. So next lie that I want to discuss in today's video is you are free to do whatever you want. Sounds appealing, right? Because that makes us believe that we have a lot of freedom. It sounds like, yeah, you have free will, do whatever you want, or you are a grown up, you don't have to obey your parents anymore, do whatever you want. Um, and that discourse, and that is just a discourse, that is just a narrative. You can do whatever you want. And in theory, and on the surface, yeah, you can do whatever you want. But here's a catch. There are always consequences for what you do. So that is one of the, at least from my perspective, that's one of the most difficult, things about being a human being. Yeah, we have free will, but whatever we do has consequences. So whatever you choose or abstain from choosing, there will be consequences. There will be repercussions. And even if you choose not to choose, you're still choosing, because you cannot opt out and say, no, I don't want to make any choice about that. I want to stay neutral. No, there's no such thing. You cannot stay neutral, because if you don't make a choice, you're still making a choice by default. If you're not taking action, you stay passive. Yeah, you're still contributing, to the scenario, or to whatever is going on in whatever group you're a part of, or whatever social settings you're part of. So if you stay passive, you try to opt out from choosing. Yeah, your contribution will be that, yeah, you didn't help a person in need, for instance, or you didn't participate to creating another outcome. So you cannot opt out, just like you cannot opt out from, yeah, like we are here on planet Earth, and as long as we are here, we make choices all the time, and we are held responsible for those choices and those consequences. So this big lie that I want to discuss, that you can do whatever you want, it is camouflaged, or it is presented as freedom. Like you have freedom of choice. Like, oh, isn't that great? Do whatever you want. Like, yay. But here's the truth. And I brought a book for that, a book that you all know very well. It's the Holy Bible. And that, yeah, there's so much wisdom in this book. I just wish I had started reading the Bible, 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago, when God started calling me to come closer. But yeah, I had a lot of inner resistance, and I have had to regret that choice of listening to the resistance instead of listening to the calling from God. But yeah, so much wisdom in this book. And one of the most important things that I'm learning now that we need the Bible for, it's to learn about the spiritual principles that govern this world and beyond. So, yeah, there are many spiritual principles operating, not only the 10 commandments by Moses that you're probably all familiar with, that were declared or, established thousands of years ago. Yeah, those are more like a summary. That's my current understanding, right? That's more like a summary of spiritual principles and laws that God expects from all of us as human beings. But there are many other spiritual principles that are being applied or are being, yeah, that are operating without us knowing it, maybe consciously, but we are still under the effect of those spiritual principles. So even if we make choices, based on the information we have and based on our value system, based on what has been modeled to us by our parents or caregivers growing up, by what we have been told, or what has been modeled to us also through mass media and films and stuff. There are so many sources of influences that influence our choices. And often things are presented to us like, when we're being presented with this, you have freedom of choice, or you can do whatever you want. It is often presented as a freedom. But what no one tells us, explicitly, is that, yeah, whatever you choose, there's the consequences, and the consequences that operate in the spiritual realms, spiritual principles, those do not necessarily manifest immediately in your life. Those could take years. So you make a choice here that sounds or looks or sounds like, oh, I'm using my free will to make this choice. It could take you many years before you realize, or decades even, before you realize to the full extent the spiritual, the consequences of that choice, and because of the spiritual principles that are applying, right? So that's why we also need to have a critical thinking, but not only critical thinking, like questioning each other and each other's motives, which so many people do. So many people just look for red flags in other people, like, oh, I have to look for hidden agendas. I was really shocked by that when I arrived in France, because I didn't have any hidden agendas. I was very open and transparent about my motives for being there, and I have shared about that also quite open-heartedly in the video I already mentioned, the deception of perception, and in other videos. But I didn't have any hidden agenda. But everyone, the French people I met there, they were very suspicious of me and immediately looking for hidden agendas, which means that they had hidden agendas that I should be looking for, but didn't know yet. I was supposed to be looking for hidden agendas in other people. But there are also hidden agendas on a global scale, I mean, society-wise or world-wise. And those hidden agendas are much more important to learn about than any individuals, hidden agendas or second intentions that they don't show openly, right? and more importantly is to learn what God expects from us, because if we don't if we consistently break not only the commandments but other spiritual principles, other things that God expects from us, yeah, we will be in trouble, because God is a God of mercy and God is a God of love and truth, but God is also a God of justice. So there will come a point when God, the patience of God with all of your, faulty choices. At some point, God will, start making things, or not making things, but allowing things to become really uncomfortable for you, so that you have to learn the hard way. If you don't learn by studying the Bible or learning with other people who already know about the spiritual principles, and God will allow things to get very uncomfortable for you, so that you have to start taking this seriously and not only doing your own will, but doing, following God's will. And yeah, I don't know what more I should be saying about that, because there are always consequences. Always. And in our younger years, maybe we don't discover them as easily, because on the one hand, our physical body recovers faster after being exposed to stressors or being exposed to hardships, and also other people are more prone to helping you, because yeah, so for me, it was like night and day turning 30. Like in my younger years, I received so much help and support, and people were cheering me on, being, you know, helping me for without me asking about it. And once I hit that threshold, 30, I was all of a sudden I was supposed to know how everything works. And it was much more difficult all of a sudden to receive help from anyone at all, So we cannot take that for granted either, And the longer we live on this planet, the more experiences we accumulate. And if we have had difficult experiences, or we have made decisions based on our freedom, and that turned out to be breaching or, going against spiritual principles and things that God had already ordered that we have to do in a certain way, or we have to obey certain things, yeah, that will catch up. Um, I'll take just an example, like my burnout, for instance. I had consistently been, giving more to others than myself, and, running over my own needs. And obviously, there are limits to what the physical body is capable of handling. So then I was not respecting, I was not honoring all of the things that God had given to me already as blessings, all of the talents and all of the gifts and all of the things. And God has plans for us, for all of us, before we come into this physical material world, before we incarnate in a physical body. God already has plans for us. So by exhausting myself and giving more importance to other people than to myself, because that's how I had been conditioned growing up, I was not honoring God's plans, and obviously that's one of the reasons why also God allowed things to become very uncomfortable for me, very difficult for me, going through that burnout and healing from that, because we have to honor God and we have to discover God's plans for us and align with God's will for our lives. So yeah, there are always consequences. We just don't realize it maybe immediately. But yeah, then things will accumulate, and at some point you reach a threshold when the bucket, so to speak, is overflowing with it's just too much. That one drop that will make it all, manifest. And that's also when our physical body maybe starts producing more symptoms and stuff to tell us, like, hey, you're out of alignment. You need to maybe shift something in your thinking or your belief systems, your subconsciously held beliefs also, or you need to change something in how you relate to yourself and to others, and in this world, how you operate in this world, right? So that we align as much as possible with the will of God. All right. So that's the second big lie I wanted to discuss, that you can do whatever you want, and that is freedom. Mm, not so much. And the third lie is, and yeah, this connects with the previous one. This is also a very big lie that we've been told, and that is God does not exist, which is quite absurd. But yeah, many people fall into that lie because when we are indoctrinated and conditioned to only believe in what our physical senses can immediately perceive, or things that we can actually touch, like here's my hand, I can touch my hands, my hand is real, yeah, but there are many things that you cannot, touch or grab, or but they are just as real now. So we cannot see God with our physical senses, and I so strong chills now. But then again, that is one of the greatest lies that we have ever been told, which seems appealing in some circles. Like usually people who are very much living in their intellect, like they don't feel the need for God in their lives because they rely so heavily on their own intellect, on their own intelligence, and their own mental capacity. Like, for instance, in many academic circles or people with very high degrees, such as PhD or postdoctorate or all kinds of, they buy into, oh, everything has to be scientific, everything has to be validated by science, everything has to be rigorously studied and structured, and we have to follow these methods, we have to follow these steps, we have to do it in a certain way because otherwise we cannot, know for sure that this is true. But then again, like, yeah, God is the one allowing us to discover things through science, and God is also the one who decides what we are allowed to discover and what we are not allowed to discover, because there are so many things that we are not ready to receive yet. So our consciousness has to evolve. We have to grow both individually and as a species, collectively, to be able to receive certain revelations from God. So there are things that God, in the infinite mercy and infinite goodness and infinite love and compassion that God has for us as humans, that there are things that God will hide from us now because we are simply not ready to receive it. We would just be overwhelmed or like not know what to do with those revelations. Um, but yeah, so many things, many times people get stuck in their mind, in their intellect, and not in their ego. Um, you know, to claim such a thing that God doesn't exist, it's like, yeah, but who created all this? Who created the universe? Who created planet Earth? Who created humans? Who created everything? It's how could there be a creation without a creator? Yeah, that is strange. But I will quote something from A Course in Miracles that says it's so accurate. It says you have a choice to make. Either you are a host to God, or you're held hostage to your ego. And there's so much ego in this world. And yeah, I just mentioned, academic, intellectual, highly educated circles as one example, but there are other circles also where people are maybe not that educated, but they have another kind of God, which is money. So there are also people who maybe are not that intellectual or that educated or that advanced in their studies or their, um, in that area, but who can also be stuck in their ego because they start to earn a lot of money, for instance. And then the only thing they are interested in is earn more money and have more status and have more material status and have more prestige in their social groups or in their, whatever groups they are a part of, and impress other people. But yeah, they forget who is the one giving all of the blessings, in this case, money and material status. Um, that cannot just appear from thin air. But many people also then get stuck in their ego because they start having so good results with money or with material status or with their career or their business or their whatever they are focusing their life energy into and their time while they are awake, right? And then they get, so obsessed with that, more money, more money, more money, more money, more money, uh, forgetting who is the provider, you know, for all that abundance. Yeah, that is God. Um, so why is this important also to dismantle and expose this as a lie, that God does not exist? Because there will be times in life, for most of us, when things get quite difficult. And when everyone will turn their back on you, everyone, all people you trusted in, that you believed you knew. And that's what happened to me when I was living in France, right? When I had that massive spiritual awakening also. um that everything that you held as true, all the people you trusted, or all the people you thought you knew, or all the things that for you were your, you know, foundation for your sense of safety in the world, when all of that collapses, where do you turn, and even if you haven't had that kind of experience yet, you need to know that there's so much spiritual warfare going on that we cannot perceive with our physical senses, and that we need to both inform ourselves and what to do, how to deal with those things by studying the Holy Bible, but also to cultivating a personal relationship with God on an ongoing basis. I also recorded a video about that previously. It's called Deepen Your Relationship with God and Receive Your Blessings. I will also drop the link to that video in the description below if you want to watch that video. And I highly recommend you do. So, yeah, where do we turn if we believe in that lie that God does not exist? God is really the only one who can answer our prayers, and the only one who can save us from our own stupidity and our own ignorance and our own stubbornness and our own, getting stuck in our own ways. That is God. So if you exclude that possibility of God being real, even though you cannot perceive God with your physical senses, yeah, you're missing out big time, big time. So yeah, there's spiritual warfare going on all the time under the surface, and things happening, and sometimes, and if you want to explain everything with reason or with logic or only scientifically validated things, we will reduce our understanding unnecessarily, but also we will not have the spiritual protection that we need from God. So that is also a way to deceive us massively and to manipulate us into staying small and dependent on a system in the world that was not designed for us or for our uh, to our benefit or for our highest good, but with other kinds of agendas and motives. Um, and for us highly sensitive people, many of us are also light workers. So we carry a lot of light inside us already, and that has also some consequences. For one is that if we carry a lot of light inside us, it's difficult for us to understand how there can be so much evil in the world or in other people. Because we don't have that level of evil inside ourselves. We don't have that level of darkness inside ourselves. We have so much light, which also can make us fall prey for manipulation, for deception, for being taken advantage of for the light that we bring into the world, and also from a spiritual perspective, the spiritual warfare that I mentioned. Also, spiritual entities and beings of darkness, they are drawn to the light, like flies are drawn to sugar, or that was a bad example. More ants like sugar, but yeah, that's the forces of darkness are drawn to our light also. So we have to know how to protect ourselves. So we need to have a strong foundation. We have to have a clear anchor. So we anchor our existence and our being, our soul, in something solid, something reliable, something eternal, something that this world cannot give, and that is God. So if we dismiss the possibility of the existence of a God, where should we anchor ourselves? Where should we, build a foundation for our lives, and who will give us this spiritual protection that all of us need, whether we know it consciously or not? So yeah, I was like not convince an atheist of going, becoming a follower of Jesus Christ, or start believing in God, or start praying to God. Yeah, that you have to follow your own process, your own timing, but don't dismiss the possibility of the existence of a God, because you would exclude the only source for, you know, for providing for you and take care of you and protect you and, you know, rooting for you, and the only one who is always, available to respond when you're reaching out or you're, yeah, you ask, you need help, you reach out. God is the only one who will always respond to you, right? So that would be a big mistake to exclude that possibility. So yeah, I hope with this video about the three biggest lies. So I will recap before we wrap up for today. First, biggest lie: the only thing that exists is what you can immediately perceive with your physical senses. Second, and yeah, those are not in hierarchical order. But yeah, another big lie is that you can do whatever you want because you have freedom. And another, yeah, God doesn't exist. So yeah, with all of those lies, if we believe in those lies, we can get quite entangled in the web of deception from dark forces. And I don't say this to scare you. I say it because, yeah, I got quite, entangled in those while living in France, and I still have to deal with consequences of that now, even though I have been back in Sweden for, at the moment of recording this video, I've been back for 3 years and a half, and I still have to deal with the consequences of believing in those lies. Um, and believing in the polished, charming facade, the nice words, narrative, like, yeah, I believed in that bullshit. So yeah, and that created a lot of suffering for me and a lot of struggles and hardships that I don't wish for anyone to go through. And that's also why I'm sharing this. So from the comfort of your home, and I hope you're not, going through such hardships that I was going through when I had to discover these things, but that you can see those things for yourself, or at least open your mind to the possibility. And yeah, and you can ask God to show you, what you need to see. Simple as that. That could be a prayer, God, please show me what I'm not able to see for myself yet, and that I need to see at this moment in my life. Please show me. Yeah. You could say a prayer just like that, and God will listen to your willingness and your sincere heart, that truly you want to learn more, you want your spiritual eyes to open, and that you're willing to receive guidance also from higher realms. Right, so dear watcher, this will be all for today. Let me know in the comments what you learned from this video and how you had to discover these things. And I will see you soon in another video. Bye for now. Take care.